Recording started.
Welcome to Business 2213, Principles of Business. We are in week 2, and so if you go to the end of the week and you went to Sunday, you have to realize that by Sunday we will be halfway through our course. And it just goes by so fast. So hang on, everyone. We've got a few more things to accomplish during our class. First, I'd like to start off with a little chat real quick about our final project. I know we covered it last week, but I want to bring it up again. Just remember that we're going to be doing a business plan for our final project, and that needs to be related to your core program. So please don't choose a business that's just from out of nowhere. Do choose one that goes along with your core program. Also, do a little research. That was sort of a mini assignment for you for last week, was to read page 110 in your textbook and maybe go to the Small Business Administration site or the other 2 websites that teach you a little bit about writing business plans. So I hope you had a chance to do that. I went ahead and copied the rubric again for this week, and I know it's tiny, but remember you can access this from our course page. If you click on our final project link in week 4, you'll be able to bring up the grading rubric. So there's 2 things that I'm wanting us to go over tonight that are on the final project. I'd like to make the live lectures as useful as possible, and I find being able to go over the final project one of the best things that we can do. So if you'll look at the 2 things I have in red right now, we're going to talk tonight about making a company name and how to go about that, the best practices in that. And then also, we're going to talk a little bit about the type of formation, which is in Chapter 6 of your textbook. So these will be 2 items that you'll need to create for your final project. So let's hop on over to that. Week 1, your final project goal that we talked about in live lecture was I wanted you to choose your product or your service that you would be offering. So did you guys have a chance to do that? Can you give me a hands up if you did? Does everyone know where the hands up is located? Right below my name under moderator? Okay, great. A few people did. Yes, wonderful. That's almost half even. Well, great. So so you chose sort of your product or your service, and so you're getting your brain going in that direction, and that's what I want to see. So you did that, and maybe you visited the websites as well so that you achieved your week 1 final project goal. Okay, so of course this week I want to give you a week 2 final project goal, because I always say the best way to eat the elephant is 1 bite at a time. And so if you do a little bit each week, in the end you won't be so overwhelmed. So this week, I would love for you to come up with your company name. Some of you may already have that. Let me take my hand down there. Come up with your company name, and I'd like for you to choose what type of formation you're going to have. That's fine, Haley, no problem. It happens. Come on in, join the crowd, right? So type of formation, and we're going to talk about both of these tonight. Are you going to have a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation, or a limited liability company? These are the 4 main types of formation. So let's hop over real quick, since we're going to talk about names tonight. I found a few businesses that I wanted to give you a little background on their names. Some of you may know the background on Google, but some of you may not. The name actually started as a joke. The amount of information the search engine could search was what they referred to as a Google, G-O-O-G-O-L. And a Google is an actual term meaning the number 1 followed by 100 zeros. So that's a huge number. And so it started off as a joke. They gave a little presentation to a potential investor, and that investor made the checkout to Google, Google. So you might say that Google got its name from a joke and then a mistake, and now it's world famous. Oh yes, Haley, no problem. Well, actually, I'll have a copy of the recording by tomorrow, so you're welcome to go through that again. That'd be great. And let me get, I don't think I have you down yet. Haley. And Stephanie McKenzie, welcome. Wonderful. So yes, so you could always go through that recording again. You didn't really miss much at the beginning, Haley, though. You're good. So there's a unique business name that worked. Here's another one for you. Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola comes from, oh, there's a typo, from the coca leaves that Coca-Cola was originally made of, and cola nuts used as a flavoring in the soft drink. So it actually started off with cola with a C, and the second, Coca with a C, cola with a K, and finally they decided that C looked better, created more fluid name, and voila, we have Coca-Cola. So it came from ingredients in the drink itself. There you go. One more. IKEA is a random collection of letters. How about that? Random collection of letters. It uses the first letters of the founder, and I do not know how to say his name. Maybe Ingvar Kambrad's name, and the first letters of the Swedish property and the village where he grew up. Ingvar Kamprad, Elmchard, and Gunjard. I know, I just killed that. I apologize if anybody has Swedish ancestors. Maybe you know how to pronounce it correctly. So that is how IKEA got its name, and it sounds great, doesn't it? I mean, it just kind of rolls off your tongue. IKEA does. So there you go, some unique business names. Now let's hop over into naming your business, though, because that's one of the things we want to do for our final project. So one of the things that you could do is go to a business naming firm. There's actually quite hundreds of those out there, and for about 6 months' work and $80,000, they will help you name your company. You know, what a bargain, right? Who wouldn't want to do that? So they really know what they're doing. It's going to cost a lot of money. That just blew me away, $80,000. So the other option is to create your own, but it's a great idea to do a little research and find out a little bit about how to name your company, right? 2 names would be great, that's right. And Casey is now going to go into the business naming firm, right? Well, great. That's great. Yes, I've always came up with my own business names, and I think I did okay. I did okay. There are also plenty of business name generators out there that you can use for free, and they come up with some sort of random names if you put in a couple things that you would like in the title. But who knows, you may be able to come up with the one that just clicks for you. So that might be worth a shot too. So just a few things about naming your business. The more your name communicates to consumers about your business, the less effort you must exert to explain it. And I want you to think about this. Whenever you're driving down the road and you see the name of a business, and you have to ask yourself, what in the world is that business? What type of product do they sell? What do they do there? Chances are, if you have to ask yourself all those things, then maybe they didn't choose the best business name. I have an example of that. My older brother, who's 56, was a computer programmer all his life. He burned out and went into massage. Of course, that's where you go from computer programming. He really got tired of using his brain so much, I think, and picked a much more relaxing trade, and he loves it. So what happened was he was working for a business, and they had a name that was pretty self-explanatory as far as what they do, that they were a massage school, and that they were also, they offer massages as well. So he had a great business, things were going well. He was actually teaching a little bit too. Oh, and that's what you're going to do, Anne, wonderful, wonderful. So what they did, and you might sort of learn then from this process, is they changed the locations, and they also changed their name. So they lost a lot of their loyal customers, the ones that didn't realize it was a name change, the ones that maybe didn't realize where they had moved to, and they also chose a name that was just basically massage school, blah, 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 massage school. So everybody assumed the only thing you do there is you go to school and you learn how to give the massages, but no, they also offer them as a way of their students to practice, just like Clary Sage does. So they really had to rebuild from that process. And it was a location change and a name change that brought them down. So it's very important. So not a lot of effort. They should be able to look at your name and tell what it is. Example, the muffler shop. It's specific. They do mufflers there, right? Number 2, Facebook. I brought this up just because it's funny. You see faces on a laptop book, basically. The main thing, though, is with Facebook is that it's 2 syllables. And this 2-syllable word is actually considered better than other syllables or longer strings of words. So Facebook, Google, all 2 syllables. Also, if it starts with an A, it will be at the top of the search list, and people don't really consider that. This was really important when we used phone books, right? If you would look up a specific service in the yellow pages, you would see the names of the businesses that start with the letter A. So A1 muffler would be at the top of the list, probably. And if you were at the top of the list, you naturally get more calls. People, if they're cold calling, if they don't know anything about you, they will start at the top of the list. So maybe this isn't quite so important now that we look things up on the internet, but I would still go with the A name too, possibly. Do not use strings of numbers or initials. This is considered to be a huge faux pas in the business naming firm area. So H&T products doesn't really tell you anything about what type of products. It's initials. We don't know whose initials they are. 1, 2, 3, let's go. A string of numbers. Where are we going? What's it for? What's up with this name? 1, 2, 3, let's go. So you want to avoid those 2 things. Strings of numbers and strings of initials. I hope I'm making you think about some things maybe you haven't thought about yet as far as your company name goes. So the name should also be broad and meaningful, but you sort of need to avoid specific location names and narrowing it down to a specific product. So here's an example. A bad name might be Tulsa Laptops. That's saying you only sell laptops and it's only in Tulsa. What if you decide to branch out? What if you decide to franchise? Then you're going to have to go through a name change. So better might be Computer Experts. It's a little more broad. It doesn't tie you down to a location. And putting the name Experts at the end is going to make everybody think you're, of course, an expert. Okay, the next thing you need to do is test drive the name a little bit. See what other people think about it. You know, if you think about it, we do the same thing with our children's names too. You know, how does it sound? What do you think? Does it sound good? Is it catchy? So, Erin, what did you say? you were looking at a comic book shop and they had a city name and a company name. So I overlooked it because I thought it was out of town. Oh, exactly. Good example, Erin. Exactly. They had a city that wasn't the city that you were in, right? A mouth to smile about for dental lab or dentalist. Oh, I think that's really cute, Dana. Yeah, that is. That's cute. So that's the great thing, is that you're going to get to come up with one that's specifically unique for you, right? So here's some other ones. They need to be easy to pronounce and easy to remember. So bag might be Mojantikas. I totally made that name up. So people probably couldn't remember how to pronounce it, and they probably couldn't remember how to spell it. Therefore, it's going to be hard to look up if you're trying to find it. Better might be Mojo BMX Racing. It specifies, it's short, it's easy to spell, and it tells you what their products are. Okay, make sure the name and the domain is available. So let's say you go through a list. Maybe you've come up with 20 different names for your business. And then you narrow it down. Maybe one is hard to spell. Maybe one is hard to pronounce. Maybe one's a little too specific and you need to broaden it out a little bit. So you can always have someone go through this process with you. Remember from our discussion board that it really takes a team. Even to be an entrepreneur, you need other people to bounce these things off of. So make sure your name and domain are available. You really want your website to be the same as the name of your business. So you really want to tie those two together if possible. Think about it when people shop Walmart.com, Target.com, JCPenney.com. It's specifically to their name. So what you can do in our state, and I couldn't get this to link right, but if you'll look at the bottom of the page here, www.sos.ok.gov/core, blah, 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 you can look up if that name is taken in the state of Oklahoma, so you can see if it's even available. You could also, using Network Solutions, you might look up the domain name and see if the domain name is there as well. Oh, that's okay, Kathy. I'm glad you made it. No problem. And let me get you down too. So, well, actually, Haley, for this assignment, I'm not going to go in and check and make sure your name is available. However, if you were really thinking about doing this business, it would be a great step to go ahead and do that. Yeah. This is a what? A top title? Oh, Haley, you're speaking in another language. So yes, it is a project for the final. That's okay. It's a project for the final, not a test. Exactly. So you might go ahead and go through this process. If you really want to do this, if this is really your plan, check it out, make sure it's available, and make sure the website's available as well, because it's very important that you have some type of online presence. Even if it's just Facebook, which is for free, a lot of people use that for marketing purposes. And I need to write one more name down real quick. I think it was Kathy, yeah. There we go. Okay, what else? What else? I brought up a few examples here. So let's pretend like you're opening a cleaning company. And pickup artist is a suggested name. I think it's kind of catchy, easy to spell. But then let's look at some of these other suggestions. Mighty Tidy. Okay, but it kind of sounds like Tidy Whitey. I don't know. Band of Buffers. You know, they're trying to be interesting here. Cleanlandia. Cleanofornia. Can you see where some of these are just a little off? WOW, wax on, wax off. Clutterbugs. What else do we have? Tidy Sam, Top Mop, Pickup Artist, which wound up being the one that they choose. Bling Sparkle. Bling Sparkle to me really doesn't tell me what they do. They're trying to be interesting though. What else? New Clean. There was one that I thought was really strange. Tidy Troopers, Happy Sparkle, Spotless. We Got This Cleaners. I kind of like that because a lot of people say the term, you know, we got this. But there was one more. Oh, Dirtless. I really didn't like Dirtless because it has the word dirt in it. And when you read that name and you're wanting a cleaning company, you want the opposite of dirt, right? And this Fresh Z, R-E-F-H-Z-I. I didn't really care for that much. Sparkling Sanctuary. So you get sort of the idea that you need to come up with a lot of different ones and then sort of narrow it down. Okay, so I want you guys, you've sort of thought about it through last week, and maybe you've come up with your product, and maybe you've gotten a little bit further, or maybe just during the discussion. Do you have any specific names yet? Could you give me an example if you have a specific name already? Oh, like Dana, what was yours again? A Mouth to Smile About, was that your name, right? Does anybody else have a name picked out already? I'm just now seeing the comments that some of you guys were putting up. Freshable. Freshable is weird. Okay, and Haley said, okay, so this was your business name, right? Let me see if I can get that back on there. Not wanting to work with me tonight. Let me see. There we go. Okay, open smiles was your idea, right? You haven't come up with an idea yet. Amber, Helping Hands, is that for massage therapy? Amber? Matters of the Womb. Wonderful. I'm guessing, let me see, Aoife, was that, okay, so what type of business would that be? Would that be for a doula? Oh, and Triple Oasis. I like that. Oh, I'm just typing all over the place. Oh, Shining Stars. I do like that for a daycare. That's cute. Oh, eat that OBGYN. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, Haley, a doula is like a birth attendant. It's someone that goes in with a doctor or with, if it's a home birth even, a doula can assist a midwife. And they do a lot with helping the mother stay relaxed. And actually, we're starting a doula program, I believe, at Clary Sager CCC pretty soon. So it's a pretty up-and-coming area to work, occupation. Legally advisable. Oh, I like that too. That's catchy. The Cutting Edge, I always like that too. Mobile Sharpening, good idea. Yes, Stephanie, it does. It needs to go along with what you're going to school with. That's right. You guys are typing so fast. I'm not used to such a large class. Relax, rewind, rejuvenate under it. That's a good idea. Yeah. Very good. So you guys, you have been thinking about it a little bit. And so what I'd like for you to do this week is sort of solidify that name. So start bringing your company to life by giving that, by giving it a name and giving yourself a little bit of a focus too, because it's very important. Gotcha. Well, Stephanie, sit down this week and try to get those two things figured out. What I don't want you guys to do is get into week 4 and it to be very rushed. So I would love for you to be able to do it a little bit at a time and really help develop it. What I've noticed is, you know, it really helps me to think about something and then sit on it for a few days and sort of ruminate and throw it around in my head a little bit, because sometimes I'll decide, no, that's a horrible idea, and sometimes I'll come up with even better ideas. And, you know, I know some people that try to think about a problem before they go to sleep because their brain will work on it in their dreams too. So everybody has their own way of developing things and thinking. Okay, so great. So you've come up with some good ideas there. Very good. Okay, now we need to hop on to our second area in our final project. I wanted to talk about this because it's really not self-explanatory when you look at the final project rubric, right? So one of the things you're going to decide after you've decided your name and what your service or product is going to be is you're going to decide how this business is going to be set up. Is it going to be a sole proprietorship, where the business is owned by a single individual? Is it going to be a partnership with 2 or more people serving as co-owners of the business? Is it going to be a corporation? The business is a separate legal entity. And a lot of people try to think of, if it's a corporation, almost think of the corporation as a separate person. So it's a person of its own. And then lastly, a limited liability company, which is sort of a hybrid that's kind of new now. And it has both the characteristics of a corporation and a partnership. So it's kind of a neat little medium that you can choose. And I think what I want to do is, we're going to go through each of these, but I want you to think about each one. And when we get through the main 4, I want you to try to decide what type of business you want. How are you going to set up yours? And if I can get this working right, we'll do a poll. And my guess is most of you will probably set it up as a sole proprietorship. So let's see what happens here. Let's see. Okay, let's look first at the net income by form of ownership. And I thought this was really interesting. If you're on a tablet, this may be sort of hard to see. You might want to pull it up on a laptop later. But if you look at Exhibit 6.1, the total number of businesses by form of ownership, you'll see that sole proprietorships get the biggest chunk of the pie there. 23.12 million, or 72% of the businesses are sole proprietorships. Whereas if you look over here at Exhibit 6.2, you'll see the total net income by form of ownership, and you will see corporations get the bigger chunk of the pie. So although most people set their company up as a sole proprietorship, the corporations are the ones that get the big income, right? They get a bigger chunk of the money pie. $1,837 billion, 65.6% of the moolah. So There's definitely a difference there. Let's look first at the advantages and disadvantages of sole proprietorships, and we're just going to go through these really quick. Advantages, it's fairly easy to do. You retain control. You have the pride of owning your own place. You retain the profits, and there's some possible tax advantages. Now, disadvantages, you might have more limited financial resources because it's going just off you, right? Your history, your savings, this, maybe the loan that you were able to get. You have sort of unlimited liability. It's all on you. A limited ability to attract and maintain talented employees. And that usually goes along with how much you're offering to pay them. Heavy workload and responsibilities, and a little lack of permanence as well. There's Miss Caitlin. Get Caitlin down too. So there are advantages and disadvantages. However, this is where a lot of businesses start, is right here as a sole proprietorship. General partnerships, two heads can sometimes be better than one. Maybe you have a partner that you want to go into business with. Maybe you have another dental assistant. Maybe you have another massage therapist that you're wanting to go into business with. Some of the advantages is that you're pooling your resources. There's a little less stress because you're sharing the responsibilities and the burden. It's a little bit, of course, it's still easy to form, and some tax advantages. That's okay, Caitlin. Disadvantages, unlimited liability. Again, it comes back to you, both of you, because it's a partnership. You might have a disagreement. We see this happen all the time. Lack of continuity and difficulty in withdrawing from the agreement. So maybe one partner decides to leave, and it can make it much more complicated. Next, let's look at corporations, and I'm assuming none of you are hopping right into owning a corporation, but who knows, I might have a few of you there. Some of the advantages, a little less liability. A corporation is basically like a person of its own. Fairly permanent, easy to transfer ownership, easy to sell. Ability to raise capital is greater, and you have a little more specialized management because you're going to have a larger system, a bigger team. Disadvantages, expense, costs a lot more money to start up. Double taxation on you and the corporation. Paperwork, complications, and sometimes conflicts of interest. If we look at limited partnerships, this includes at least one general partner and one limited partner. This might be a choice where you kind of want to be still the head honcho, but you're also looking at that advantage of having a second partner. A limited liability partnership is where all partners are actively involved, but they have some form of limited liability. In other words, they're not going to come after everyone if you get in trouble. The amount of liability differs per state. So again, if you've got another person you're wanting to start a business with. The limited liability company, like I said, this is kind of the new kid on the block. Some of the advantages, because this is a real hybrid setup. Some of the advantages, there's a little limited liability, tax pass-through, simplified management operation, flexible ownership. So you still have a little bit of that flexibility. Disadvantages, a little bit more complex to form. You might have franchise taxes involved, foreign status in other states if you're not operating solely in the company, in the state that you're based at. Limited to select industries sometimes, and state laws different, may differ state to state. So it can get a little more complicated, but not as complicated as a corporation. So if we look at, let's go back to the slide, because I'd really like to know first, the big four right here. It's not going to let me click on it. Let me go backwards real quick. Too far, too far. Okay, so we just talked about the big four, the ways to set up your business: a sole proprietorship, a partnership, a corporation, or a limited liability company. What I would like to know, if you'll look over on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see my video picture, then you'll see my name below participants. In that area, you should have a smiley face, a person with a time clock, a hand raised, and then a letter A. I'd like to use that to take a poll. A, B, C, or D. If you plan to do your final project set up as a sole proprietorship, please click on the letter A. If you want it as a partnership, please click on the letter B. If you want it as a corporation, please click on the letter C. And if you'd like a limited liability company, click on the letter D. Let me see if I can get this to pop up on our screen. Okay, I need a few more of you to respond. A few more. It looks like quite a few. Can you guys see the response, the A, B, C, D on the screen? Good, good. So right now we've got about 12% at a sole proprietorship and about 12% as a partnership. Oh, actually, that's a little more even than I thought. So you guys are considering different types, not just a sole proprietorship. That's wonderful. And I've got 9 out of 16 that just don't know yet. They're still trying to decide, right? Very good. Let's hop back through our type of businesses. I went too far. Okay, let's think about this just for a moment since we talked about different setups. Which business form would be best for each of the following business types? What do you think? A t-shirt screen printing company. What do you think would be the best business form for a t-shirt screen printing company? It looks like quite a few are saying B. The hybrid, right? Okay, how about, depends on how big they are. That's right, Dana. That's right. How far are you going to go? Okay, what about a restaurant? Sole proprietorship, partnership, what do you think? A partnership? So there's actually different ways we could set these up. Now, I have friends that are in the restaurant business. They started off in a partnership, and it really did help break up the amount of work. However, there were disagreements, and eventually one bought the other one out, and they are now a sole proprietorship. However, they work their little tails off all the time. It seems like they never get vacation. What about a beauty salon? What do you think would be best for a beauty salon? A? Yeah, I agree. I agree. You want to have probably one person in control of a beauty salon, and then you're renting out your spaces. Okay, landscaping. What do you think would be best? A again. I think especially if it's small. However, if it starts to grow, you may want to change your business form. And then lastly, a home office or cleaning business. What do you think on that one? B or D? Yep. Again, depending on the size of it, right? So the main idea is I want you to think about, you know, there's no one specific way that's 100% right. Sometimes it depends on the business, it depends on the size. So if the business expanded, you may have to change form, right? Okay, so we talked about naming your business, and this week I want you guys to come up with that, come up with your name. We talked about the business form, the big four. I want you to choose which one you'd like to set your company up in for your final project. So we go on to our final slide. Class is going to be just a little bit shorter tonight. Do we have any questions? Do you guys have any questions concerning the final project, concerning the class? I think you guys are doing great. I've loved reading the discussion boards and the input you're giving. That's probably my favorite part of the online classes. You're welcome. I hope it helps explain it a little bit too. I know this is really foreign to some of you, but it's great to have this background. When you graduate, when you're ready to go, if you want to be an entrepreneur, I want you to be ready to be there. Great. How many slides do we have to have? Oh, well, that's going to depend too. Depends on how much information you put in there, and it would also depend on you're going to sleep and see if you can come up with a name for your business. I think that's a fantastic idea. I wish I could talk a little more, Dana, about the different types of corporations. You're going to have to go to your textbook for that, though, okay? C-type, S-type, I know. Let me come back up to the rubric, back to the question on how many slides that you might need. Let me go back in time here. Here we go. So you're going to have your company name and executive summary might be on one slide. Company objectives on the second one, mission statement on the third. Let's go 1, 2, 3, type of formation. I'd say 3 to 5 slides for your first section. Your product description should be on the slide by itself. So 6. Your advantages, your ideal locations. You're going to describe each of those. 3, 4, 5, 6. Industry research, maybe 7. Competitors, 8. Management summary, 9, organizational chart, 10, and then there's a couple extras. So I'm going to say a minimum of 10. But most of you will probably have more than that. Exactly. So split them up so that they're easy to read. And in fact, if you want to put a header on each one, that makes it even better. So you can tell specifically what this is, what we're talking about. All right, great. So you guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and please email me, call me, Facebook me if you have any questions. I'd be happy to help out. Thank you. Thank you guys. Have a great night.